Great news! We're on the scene with Ann O'Leary. She's a journalist. Ann?
Thank you, Daniel. I'm here in Boston where everything is happening. Just behind me, an exothermic reaction is warming an entire planet worth of life. A nuclear furnace millions of miles away is shedding both heat and light on a humble planet. And it is this humble planet that is the only one to contain sentient life.
Tell me about that.
Well, when you think about it, everything's happening all at once. Cells are dividing, splitting, and dying. People are living their lives affected and unaffected by the day's news. They gather, divide, and split just like cells. Everything is connected. Nothing is forbidden.
I like the cut of that. Nothing is forbidden. It's edgy, kind of raw. Tell me what you mean.
Morality was invented by the weak to control the strong, Colette. The codification of morality is just another tool of mental and psychic slavery. I'm a pile of amino acids designed by itself to better perpetuate itself. The continuation of my genetic identity is far superior to the klaxon songbirds of God or state. What you see behind me is how we're all designed to be, free from the chains of the White House, the Vatican, free.
Question, is your off-the-grid bunker in Arizona or Montana?
Mockery is just another tool of the weak, Daniel. You'll see what you want to see. Reporting live from Boston, I'm Ann O'Leary.
That was inspiring or very frightening. I haven't decided. A survey found that 71% of tweets are ignored, unless they're by Blake Wexler, in that case, 100%. Another survey found 71% of all Twitter jokes are unfunny, including this one. Amazon.com is creating its own app store to compete with Apple and Google. The store will sell cell phone applications that allow you to do anything except open your own app store. That would be crazy! If there was a time to invest in people making "there's an app for that" jokes, it's now.
That's all the news we can afford so far. It's time to pay the piper. And in this case, it's our sponsor, Sandpiper Airlines.
Nobody's gonna get that one, Colette. You don't even get that one.
Regardless, coming up next is sports, weather, and the speed round. If you miss it, we're not friends anymore. And we're back. I didn't think we were going to make it, but we pulled through. You know, the third act is always the strongest.
You haven't seen our writing team. Sorry, that was a low blow. A judge in San Diego has ordered an injunction against "don't ask, don't tell." He also ordered a conjunction making it "don't ask and or but don't tell." Opponents of the judicial system have asked, what's his function?
Now comes my favorite part of the program, Speed Round. What's our topic this week, Dan?
It's Chilean miners. A group of Chilean miners are going to be rescued this week from their rocky tomb/workplace. Ready?
At least they weren't trapped in TGI Fridays. Blam! I guess even more West Virginia jobs are going overseas. Reports say it was chilly down there. Dan?
Chilean hipsters like their miners for their underground cred. 3 drills are being used to save the miners. Unfortunately, John Henry is not available. Chile is a nation known for its stable democracy. Wait, that one was a fact.
Ooh, I got one. They sent the miners MP3 players and portable DVD players. I bet they had copies of Devo's Workin' in a Coal Mine and the classic film, The Rescuers Down Under.
You nailed that one, Co. Cambridge Public Schools will be getting the first day of Ramadan off next year, which is great because the kids can go home and watch a Charlie Brown Ramadan. Ramadan is known as the only Muslim holiday Americans know the name of.
New gold-to-go machines are being introduced to Florida and Las Vegas. The machines will dispense gold for money. Consumers are warned to make sure they select exactly the gold they want or they'll end up with Fritos. Said one patron, "The worst part is when your gold gets caught in the machine." Pleased by the news are prospectors who said, "There are gold in them, there are automated dispensaries." 40 attorney generals are banding together to investigate the mortgage service industry. In related news, Law & Order is seeking 39 guest stars for its longest episode ever. Now for our sports and analysis. Sports news is so in-depth it doesn't even need to be illustrated. We have our bullpen talker, Dan. Dan?
This weekend, I'm predicting football and lots of it. Kickoffs will be starting around 1 o'clock. Hockey will be nowhere in sight. There will be scattered disappointment and high levels of inebriation coming into Monday morning. And good news for Red Sox fans, there's always next season. Also, the Bills are going to lose. A wedding limo caught fire today in Toledo, Ohio. Here comes the bride, there goes the deposit. Nobody was hurt in the blaze. That's good, because otherwise I would look really callous to make fun of it. On the downside, the couple canceled their honeymoon to Fire Island. And with sports comes weather. Colette, rock this one.
It was a tough week for sunshine, losing 3 straight days to the rain. Let's show some of the highlights. Ouch! The sun is going to have to step up its game as it faces a must-win scenario against snow this winter. If the sun doesn't keep it up, we're going to get buried. Barometric pressure is shaky this week and rumors of trade winds. Good news though, barometric pressure has eclipsed peer pressure as the invisible force that most affects meteorology, which means the girl on Channel 8 can go back to those stupid scarves she's always wearing. I wonder what she did before working on weather. Was she a mannequin in an abandoned fashion bug? Moving on. Weather.com has added aches and pains forecast. The feature will let you know when during the week you'll slip and break your legs. My father predicts a 50% chance of rain. It either will or it won't. He loves that one. That's all for weather. Back to Dan. Dan?
Google has been testing its self-driving car. The car has 2 buttons. The first gives you millions of possible driving routes. The other is I feel lucky. Unfortunately for drivers, Google owns proprietary rights to all of your groceries. Not affected by the announcement is 1982-era David Hasselhoff.
Today we have an amazing guest. He's a comedian extraordinaire, Matt Kona. Glad to have you here, Matt. So, why did you get into comedy?
I got into comedy because I'd been messing around with other aspects of things. Like I was in a band that failed. No one could get together to practice and have shows, so stand-up comedy was a way where I only had to rely on myself to get out there, so it works for me.
Cool. And how long have you been doing it?
I've been doing it for about 1.5 years, but I do it quite often. I keep track of how many sets I do, and I just did my 365th set this past week. So.
Wow, that's awesome. And do you have any good tour stories for us?
Yes. The first real road gig was I was on tour with a friend's band as the roadie in Europe, which is the best way to experience Europe because you don't have to play music and you get treated like you do. And we did 2 shows in London, 1 show in Leeds, which was in the basement of a soccer pub, and all my jokes were about London and British culture, and they don't like to hear about that in the basements of soccer pubs, so that got kind of unruly at times, but I didn't get exported from the country, so that was good. Yeah.
That is good. So tell me about, what was your weirdest crowd?
Well, the weirdest crowd I probably performed in front of was the only time I performed outside at a comedy show, and that was because I was asked to perform at a barbecue for someone that I worked with, and he asked me to go to the barbecue, and I said, no thanks, and he said, well, you can perform comedy there, so I said, okay, agreed, I'll do it. But the thing is that he wasn't there for it. He had to go, so I was essentially performing on a porch with a karaoke machine to his roommate's friends, and they were into it, but it was in a small neighborhood in Somerville, so both sides of the house had parties going on, and one was a kid's birthday party, and the other was a get-together for elderly people, and so I got probably my most interesting heckle there, which was, "We're having a birthday party for my son, stop it." And that's kind of hard to rebound from, but that's essentially the weirdest crowd that I've had to deal with in a comedy setting.
That is pretty interesting, actually. And so then who's been your favorite crowd? What was one of your favorite performances?
Well, I do shows at the House of Blues every month on the last Thursday, and that's a pretty good crowd, especially when the beginning, because if there's a concert going over there, and they don't expect comedy to happen, and then all of a sudden they're being inundated with various bizarre jokes. But it's good when you catch a crowd off guard and they seem to